Welcome to Commodity Analysis. It's Monday, the 26th of August, last week of August, and we're all getting ready for what we suspect will be new trends, new directions, and new trades coming up this September. And this is an appraisal, technical appraisal using median lines and reaction lines of the emini S&P. And I might, if we have time, have a little look at the mini Dow, but let's start with the mini S&P and let's go to this chart here, and I want to look at the daily and the big picture. These are all the important forks, and I think I've published this on the blog and on various sites. Big forks using these pivots here. We have a pivot calculator which gives us a value for them, but I mean visually we can spot the highs, the lows, and draw the important forks without using a pivot formula. But here we are. I don't know what that one is doing there. Let's just take that up there off that high. And let's have a look. Last week we saw this bounce here. Price seems strong. Price seems to be wanting to go higher. There we are. And that's a beautiful reaction line there that splices through the bottom. We have that tiny little pin touch on this lower green lower median line parallel, and up we rise. Now, we were looking, and let's just shrink out a bit here, at this fork here, this one, this grey downsloping fork. And a couple of weeks ago, we saw this behaviour here, in and around its upper median line parallel, and there was a point at which, after this quite sharp sell-off, we were all wondering whether we were going back to 1600, test this area here. And now, just simply because of the time that's passed and where we are in this fork in relation to this center line, this now lies at quite mouth-watering distance away. It must be down to 1550. So I think we can discount this, and I think we have to say, having made a higher low, there's the previous low, the 15, around the 1550 area there, having made a higher low here around the 1630, just above 1630, we're going back to this line, and this can only mean one thing. Now, the price just looks as if it wants to go higher. Let's just go down to the 5-minute, and I want to show you this. Just have a look at this. Here's another example. This is a perfectly valid fork. This is in the 5-minute. Look at this. Now, so far we haven't seen. That's a perfectly valid Andrews pitchfork in a relatively low time frame. And look at us there. No touches at all. Price looks like it wants to trend higher. Now we'll go back to the higher time frame. Well, you can see these reaction lines. They're all drawn automatically, and when price refreshes and we get a tick, they pop back. And the same with these lines here as well. Let's have a look in the 240-minute. There is a possibility, the options are, we go straight up and start fighting with this downsloping grey upper median line parallel before going through up towards 1700 again. Alternatively, we could make a crown here. We could struggle, and we'll have a look at a more detailed chart in a second. We could struggle around this 1665, 1660, mid 1660s, and then pop down here, back onto this line. We could, in fact, make a series of moves to the sideways with higher lows using this as support and this reaction line you can just see here. Let's just have a look at some other charts of interest. Here's another one. Again, a 240-minute. Price looks strong. Again, this is the green fork in previous chart, and let's have a look at another. This one in particular interests me. There's the fork I just showed you. Let's get rid of that. There's a band of down sloping reaction lines. This is the first one in this set. This is the second set of two downsloping reaction lines from a high frequency fork, from a fork from the monthly time frame. So its reaction lines are proportionately, obviously, more effective the higher the time frame. And we can see they work here. If we look in the 60-minute, you can see that you can just see on this one here, if we go down to the 30-minute, you can see that that has offered just on that there resistance, zoomed through, popped off it here as support, and again using this horizontal median line, again 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, 4 touch, and then down. Now we're back up and it's becoming, and I've just gone over it manually, it's becoming resistance, although I do expect that we will try and break through today. Now let's just have a look. What have I done here? What have I done here? What I've done is I've drawn the most local fork I can. In other words, in this time frame, which is the 240-minute, I've taken the horizontal, let's refresh that, taken this horizontal fork, the high, the low, and we can actually break all of these little pivots you can draw forks from. And when you're starting a new trend, you can draw forks like on Friday, this, and this. And you'll see if we go down and tighten that up, some correlation with price. And these are all targets in a new trend. Let's have a look. There we are. And let's just have a look at it. There you go. You go lower, you'll see price spike through. It's one of the first objectives. You can just see this behavior here, and fell a couple of big points and then up through again, and you can work your way right through all these pivots and the relationship between them. Let's get rid of that now. This is more important, this pivot here, but ultimately we've got to be looking at using these, this one here, and this one here, and that's quite an angle. That's quite a target. It's got to be around 1700 vis-a-vis price and time by the time we get there. Or of course, it could be a fail. But it looks certainly at this point in time as if we're going to see another week on the upside. Let's just play around with a partial pitchfork here. Sometimes these pivots can be, you can use in the emini S&P, partial pitchforks we call them. And again, let's have a look at this pitch. Let's have a look at this here. Let's go down into the 240-minute and see. Right, there we go. See, there's a correlation there with price. Look, dip through, back up. I'm not using that one. That's the actual low for our upsloping target, which is very sharp. And we'll put this back here because it shows us that price doesn't want to go anywhere near that center line, and thus price is still trending higher. We want to see what happens here. This yesterday's last night's high here around the 1665 area needs to be taken out. If we struggle here, again, we know we've got, and you can't see it in this one, you can see it here, we're going to come back and test this line. We'd be looking to get long, or for at least a long trade, if we came back and held around this 1650, 1648. Maybe by the time we get there, it'll be higher. Anyway, so we're looking at the upside this week. We're looking at, firstly, an encounter with this downsloping grey fork that you can all draw. We may see price fall away, but we expect to see that line penetrated and move up to the 1680s. More to come. Thanks for listening.